Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 255 of my modded Factorio playthrough. In this episode, we are going to work on explosives and artillery. Enjoy! And we already have it unlocked, that we have our choice between the prototype artillery or the regular one. The graphics don't quite match, so I don't know if I want to quite use these right now because they don't seem to be well balanced. Where this has a minimum range of 20 and a maximum range of 90, where the standard one, minimum is 32, but then it goes out to either 224 or 560. So it seems like it's much longer range. Of course, this is much lower tech, so that could explain it, that doesn't have any blue research, while this one does. So in that sense, it doesn't make much sense to be using this one. It does have a bigger area of effect, though, where standard shells have the area effect of 4, while the rocket ammo version has the effect of 8. But it's area of effect 8 and then area of effect 2. So I wonder if it has a secondary explosion that has that different area of effect. But the damage is just so much better on these ones. So I think I want to stick with that. So we could shoot distractor robots down there if we wanted to. But we're not actually making any of them, so there's probably no point right now. I don't think we need the wagon, so just the standard turrets will do. And then we need to make the shells. Manual targeting is nice, but just having them not be right next to the wall and the pollution cloud will probably help quite a bit. And that requires explosives and the explosive cannon shell. But we also have unlocked high explosive cannon shells. 10 times theoretically stronger explosive shells for when dead isn't good enough. But that's for cannons. And I don't know how many of those we're actually using. Yeah, it's this one right here, and I think we took those off the wall a long time ago. So we don't really need to worry about those. We just want to do the artillery. So, making the artillery pieces will probably be easy enough. It's just, concrete, steel, iron gear wheels, and electronic boards, things we already have. It's specifically the ammo that we need to work on. And let's just get some numbers here. So you want to make the artillery shell. And I don't know, 1 per second, just to have an idea. That's assembling machines, no productivities, so that needs explosives and regular shells. So you want to do explosive cannon shell, which in itself also requires explosives. And I kind of wanted to do all that because we need to make explosives. I don't think we're really doing any of that in this factory, because we haven't really needed it for anything up until this point. And we have, I'm pretty sure, all the tiers of explosives. Yeah, pretty much. We've got it to the end. And the first tier is coal and sulfur with some water. And then the second version is coal with glycerol, sulfuric, and nitric acids. And then the third version gets rid of the coal entirely and uses toluene and sulfuric and nitric acids. So let's compare all of these to kind of see what they would do. Let's just create a new line that we need 14 of each, but let's just create some in here and say we wanted to make 14 of these, and productivity modules are available. So we'll do that. That requires an input of 4 coal and 4 sulfur. This one, to make 14, it's done in an advanced chemical plant. And it does not take productivity modules, which is interesting. So to do so requires a lot more coal, but it does use glycerol liquids and also the sulfuric acid, which does need to have sulfur put into it. So we can take this down to see how much sulfur goes into it. So it's less, assuming that it could have productivity modules, which it annoyingly cannot. But I wonder if that's just an oversight here. Because if this didn't have them, and you compare them, the coal input is the same, but then it needs less sulfur because it's adding other things. So let's do the other one. Well, we need to add the sulfur in there. So that reduces the sulfur requirement even more, and also reduces the nitric acid even more. The only thing is the toluene, which we could get as a byproduct of doing natural gas refining, or from synthesizing from benzene and chloromethane gas, which sounds like a lot of work. Or the easy one, of naphtha and hydrogen. And this would probably make our factory have no extra hydrogen if we went through this effort. But that would be a better thing than just burning it all. So let's say we did it that way. Where would the naphtha even come from? Because I think our factory is kind of short on oil products down here, where the nearest one is actually up there. Although, what kind of input requirement do we need? It needs quite a bit of both hydrogen and naphtha. Right now our main hydrogen generator is all the way down here, so one of those would have to be aggressively shipped. But even with the other ways, it's basically going to involve a lot of shipping of things. So I don't think that's really a good way for us to be doing it now. I would like to, it's just shipping those resources all over the place is kind of difficult. And it is weird how you can't put the productivity modules in those other tiers. Because it basically makes it so there's kind of no point in doing them, at least when you have productivity modules. Because just the standard way of making the sulfur just becomes so much more efficient. I mean, having a productivity boost of 75% will do that. And it would have been nice to try to use some of that glycerol. Because it really doesn't go into anything besides nitroglycerin and this, explosives. But there's kind of no point in going through all that effort if it's just going to require more resources at the end. Okay, well, we had our 14 explosives here. We'll just do that with the first method. And it really doesn't require that much input resources to make happen. Then kind of the question is where do these shells actually get made? Let's see. The coal and sulfur can be done right up here because we have the coal already, so sending some sulfur up here would be pretty easy. Making the shells would be a little bit more work. And explosives probably isn't something we just want to be randomly putting on a bus, because we want to try to keep our main bus fairly clean by not having a bunch of random resources on it. Even though we have lots of spaces right now, I really don't want to be using extra ones. But we do have our intermediates bus over here. We're just using on batteries and ammo. But it's being used for things that kind of use unusual resource types that don't get used very often, like gunmetal or batteries, for example. And this would use plastic. And is that steel right there? Sometimes it's hard to tell. Yeah, it is steel. So we already have plastic and we already have steel there. So the only thing we would have to add on there is explosives. But do we even want to have a train of it? We would require 14 a second while it was running at full speed. Assuming we were making 1 per second, which I don't know exactly how many shells we'd want to go through. Maybe we should ramp this up a bit. So I think our factory can produce a heck of a lot more than 8 sulfur a second. Yeah, even this setup alone would create 24. Well, we do have some coal mines over here that were scanned and turned into seams. We haven't been using them for anything yet. But that is nearby-ish to where the sulfur is being stored. So it would be kind of a long belt. But it can go in there and make the explosives themselves. But we'd probably need another train station right here. But we could add it. There's no reason why it wouldn't work. We do have a total of 3 trains here for various things. So sure, why not? So we would also need to have our purified water with an efficiency and a pollution, and I guess we can go through here and make sure everything else is covered. Well, these kind of don't matter. They're just assemblers. Okay. Well, we've got something to build now. So we would need a setup with 60 machines with 1 input. Let's just build 1 in the inventory and then let bots come down here and handle the rest of it. So that would make the explosives, where we have 1 belt of input, 1 belt of output. Let's see, each individual machine is rather slow, so just yellow inserters will work. Then we can copy it over. That gives us 6. So 12, 18, 24, 30. And then we can copy the same thing a second time. But I kind of want it to be in a slightly more straight position, like right there. So we'll let the robots handle that. So we need to get the coal in, and 8 per second actually isn't that bad. I don't think we need to do necessarily a long belt. We can use some transport drones for that. And we can extend the road down here. I think we've still got some road material hanging out. Seems like we do. We'll just keep the road going out here. We'll just put speed modules in, since this is a vein and is probably pretty slow. Oh, that was pretty fast, but oh well. So supply depot, let's set it to like less than, how about like 5,000? It is just coal, so that's easy enough to move around. So there we go, we'll put that coal in there for now. And since I think we have another mine out here supplying coal to various places that need it, we can give priority to that mine down there by just removing this from the network. So we'll just unhook that, and if it empties, it empties. Okay, we need to get the coal in here. We just need to pick a nice spot to do it, but it's pretty busy in here. But it looks like there's a space kind of up here. So we'll request coal, and how about the 10 drones? And it can get split off here, but we might have throughput issues, so how about we'll just give them their own separate line. And we need a new station, which seems like it'd be right about there. Let's upgrade all this stuff. Then we can rename this to explosives load. And I guess we can leave this on, and it's already set to the correct area. Well, it's kind of annoying, but it would be nice if these were pointed the other direction, because that's where the resource is going to come from. Something like this. Well, since the other belt is that way, we can make this one look nice and straight. Oh, the bots don't reach out here. That would explain why it's taken a while to build. Might as well do the last little bit of effort necessary to connect all these robot zones together while we're waiting on them to finish this build. Well, running this is definitely going to use up a lot of our sulfur, but that is quite alright. I guess we'll just take some of the water from over here, as long as it's not maxing it out. It's kind of maxing it out. Depends on how much we need. We don't really need that much, so I'll still steal from it anyway. I almost want to just put this thing down here somewhere because it's in line. Even though it would be kind of messy, but I'll put it up here. Hey, it reaches. Okay, looks like most of this is hooked up now. It's just this is working on getting it all topped up. But it seems like it will be. So that should be enough to test it out here. So let's pipe the coal in. Oh, making lots of explosives. This should basically max out the belt, using up nice amounts of our sulfur. Seems fine. It's not a high priority thing, but making our 28 explosives a second. So now we need to build the part to make the shells. I'm going to need to make a request for it. So let's get this hooked up. those set to explosives. And then add that to the list. So we want negative 512 stacks to put it on there. And let's make sure it's the correct network. It is. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. Oh, there it is. Couldn't find any yet, which makes sense, because there's not enough in here for the station to activate yet, but it will eventually. So let's throw speed modules in here, which suddenly makes this much, much smaller. And we need to get our input from coils, which does get the productivity modules. And there we go. Much, much smaller than all of this. Oh, there's the explosive request. So one of the trains pulled up, went down there, and it's getting the bombs. Okay, well we need 2 of these. Might as well just kind of put them right here and have them be in line. Outputting onto there. And the plastic can just come in through here. To get in on that side. And we'll need our 5 machines making the shells. And the train's arriving. Delivering all the explosives. And there it is. The explosives can come in on there. Then the output belt can be there. Then we'll have these 3 making the shells. Then we need an output belt. Might as well just put one right here. And we'll do one-sided to keep it from getting too overloaded with stuff. And then it would go on the bus there. Okay, that's interesting. The cordite never made it in here. No requests are being made. It's being made right here. It's being supplied, so maybe it got turned off with that. We'll have to check it. Ah, just an interesting number. It shouldn't need to be set that high. We just need to have 1 drone's worth, not all of that. So like 600. So if doing that, does it turn on? Oh yes. All the drones are like, feed me. But this number probably needs to be higher than that. Maybe like 3,000. Anyway, that should get that flowing again. Let's get these explosives in. Looks like these gathering turrets have cleared up this wall. At least that part. They're still working up here, but doing their jobs. And this other wall, well, they've got a lot of work to do. But they're getting it done. Except for these ones. I've decided to stop working and leave those orbs just sitting there. Whatever. Well, the explosives got here, so let's see how this works. Making the shells. Well, let's just get them on our little bus here. And then immediately take them off the bus. Because we need to send them down to a depot. I'm not terribly sure how many we're going to want to have on here, but 1,000 is probably a pretty good number. Looks like we're starting to go through that sulfur now. And since we're below 50,000, I would take that to mean that every method that could create it should be turned on now. Yep, those ones are on, those ones are on. On. Yep. Let's see, it's that, and of course, up here. Yep, those are on. Are we actually going to consume all of our sulfur for once? That would be interesting. Fine by me. Let's wait for the cordite to get here to make sure it works. And here it comes back in. And making ammo again. Looking good. Well, I am kind of worried about using all of the sulfur in the sense that a lot of our ore production methods kind of rely on sulfuric acid. So we want to use a lot of it, but we don't necessarily want to use all of it. So let's come in here and add a circuit condition on here that it has to have, I don't know, like at least more than 1,000. So that way there'll always be a buffer for the acid to run if it needs to. Alright, well we've got the ammo. Now we just need to make the turrets themselves. And it's not a high priority thing, so it can probably be made just about anywhere where we need concrete, steel, gear wheels, and electronics. In fact, it probably could be made right in this general area. Although this same stuff might exist just for sorting purposes where the other turrets are being made. And they're all kind of designed around themselves as well for balance reasons, so it might make sense to do it here. We can switch all of these modules around. But we got space right here, so why not? Let's make like 50 of them. Well, working hard on the turrets. They're going to take a while, but we've at least got a few of them. And let's get a request in here for them. Probably just the one drone, because we don't want to be like super overloaded on these things in here. Then where do we put them? And how many do we want to put? Well, we can put it back here and have like a long-handed inserter going into that. We can help it a little bit by grabbing some ammo. Didn't have much room in their inventory. Because of that, actually, because they don't stack very deeply, we might want to have a lot more drones than one. So I guess I'll do the full 10 here. Not very many of them fit on here. And there we go. It's decided the biter needs to disappear. It's doing a pretty good job. It's making the biters very angry. But they don't have a choice in the matter. And it's out of ammo. Well, I'm not sure exactly how many we want to put on here because the one seems to be pretty effective, but is there such a thing as too many of them? So let's put them at every interval. We're spreading democracy to the biters. They seem unhappy about it. The armored biters there moving very slowly. Seems like it's working pretty well. They can only move as fast as their slowest biters. I'm not sure they're taking the most ideal path of the zigzags. But they want to attack, they just haven't decided if they really want to. Still doing pretty good at making ammo. Starting to run through that sulfur a little bit, but so often we just throw it away that I have the feeling that the moment we start producing some ores, it'll build back up quite quickly. But we're also creating a huge buffer of artillery shells, so it's kind of to be expected that it's going to take a little while to fill up here. Well, let's get the other walls fixed. Well, it's looking mighty clean over here. Seems like the cannons have just about the same range as our radars, which is actually rather convenient. So we can just see where the biters are looking at us. But we can't quite shoot them, at least with the automatic turret, but that's fine. As long as they're outside of the pollution cloud. We just don't want them setting up their nest right next to our wall here. 1,000 is probably too many shells to have on hand. So more like 200. Because it takes quite a bit to make each one of those. Okay, most of the cannons are placed. Just waiting on our last little bits of ammo. I kind of want to wait for us to have at least a small supply of it. So when we hook this up, we get to see a lot of excitement. And then they get mad. Oh my goodness. One of the biters exploded into a bunch of acid, I guess. It killed all the trees. Who said the biters like trees? Well, they certainly get things done quickly, don't they? And basically, almost just like that, all the biters are gone. Of course, they made a new spawner right there. And we're out of ammo, so we can't shoot it. But I guess a different one got it. Stop making more nests. Well, this wall is looking pretty good. Gotta wait for all the ammo to get in there, but it eventually will. I kind of want to wait for a while and let all the ammo catch up first before expanding to the final wall. Looks like we have a lot of bots getting kind of stuck going this direction too. But they seem to eventually figure out where they're supposed to go. Of course, they run out of power, but they're going to where they need to. Okay. Well, we were working on making all the ingots. The next one was copper. But that's going to wait for the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you later.